Welcome to Weekend 101, your chance to catch up on this week's must-knows in the world of current affairs. We begin with the midterm budget policy statement delivered by Finance Minister Gordhan in Parliament on Thursday. After weeks of economic turmoil, it was a chance for the Finance Minister to tell the international community that South Africa is still a haven to stash cash. But unfortunately, after 10 weeks of violent strike action and 2 successive credit rating downgrades, it wasn't just an easy case of walking the talk. Gordhan painted a tough picture ahead for South Africa. Government debt will increase, tax revenues will be lower than initially forecast, and government will increase its expenditure in a time when we really don't have the money. Gordhan also lambasted government departments that weren't spending their money properly and called for public spending to be value-based in order for us to get bang for our buck. In short, South Africans will have to buckle down for some tough economic times ahead. If only we had the politicians to lead by example and do the same. Staying locally, but unfortunately some more bad economic news, Eskom is looking for another electricity price increase, this time 16% annually for the next 5 years. The power utilities CEO Brian Damas has said that the increase is required to pay for higher coal costs, higher running fees on our power stations, as well as making provision for replacing aging infrastructure and financing the debt repayments to do so. If Eskom gets its way, South Africans will on average be paying double for the price of electricity by 2018. It's not all bad though. Look on the bright side. Maybe South Africans will stop being energy conscious, or you could just run out and buy some shares in a candle manufacturer. Moving overseas, 2 jailed members of the punk rocker band Pussy Riot have been sent to one of Russia's most notorious labor camps. Nadezhda Tolonikova and Maria Alekhina have arrived in Modrovia forced labor camp, where prisoners bake cookies and sew uniforms as punishment. It's not all well though, as they have to contend with no running water, hot or otherwise, and sub-zero temperatures for the majority of the year. Normally reserved as a place for rapists and murderers, the duo were sent to Mordovia for performing a punk prayer in a Moscow cathedral and were convicted for hooliganism based on religious hatred. Thousands of activists the world over, along with artists, international politicians and even Madonna have called for the band's release. If only Russian President Vladimir Putin would stop his ego trip and free Pussy Riot. And lastly, South African football coach Gordhan has said he's pleased that Bafana have avoided the so-called stronger sides in their African Cup of Nations draw ahead of next year's tournament. Bafana, the hosts, were drawn along Angola, Cape Verde Islands and Morocco in their Group A draw that took place in Durban earlier this week. Now, with all the bad news as of late, we certainly need a pick-me-up. So why don't we all dust off our makarapas and pick up our vuvuzelas to give Bafana the support they need to make it through to the semis. It'll certainly be a little bit easier and more enjoyable than just simply bitching and moaning like we do all the time. Your decision. Let's see what happens come January. And that, fine ladies and gentlemen, is your Weekend 101.